always find them very beautiful, but yet very deadly. A very different art form to me. I was interested in swords and weapons, so that's why I took up fencing. I started my first sword collection when I was 16, and after that it was like an addiction. I had to look up everything about swords or weapons, and I would visit different antique shops or search online, and it just never stopped then. Here they're mainly Japanese swords. There are some antique swords here. It's a Japanese great sword, which samurai used to on battlefield to basically cut the horse in half. I had some cuts before, but nothing very serious. On this side, they're mainly replica Western swords. So here is a Highland great sword, like the one you see in Braveheart, used by Mel Gibson. I beg your pardon, my first sword is actually a replica. Yeah. It is this sword. It's a replica of a Roman sword. And the first time I saw it, actually, I was attracted by the artwork here. So I think it looks quite cool. And it was around the time of Gladiator, the film. So that's why I got it. But yeah, I love it, when I was a kid. This one is a replica of Han Dynasty Sword. And this is actually made by a Chinese craftsman. And he's quite famous in China. Those are basically military sabers. The replica of military sabers from the 17th, 18th century. Something similar to the Battle of Waterloo. They're very curvy military sabers, but they look fun and they're very sharp. So this is my favorite sword, the sword which I commissioned from Japan. It's made by a very young swordsmith. I think he's about in his 30s. But his family has been making swords for 800 years already. So he has a very long tradition of sword making in his family. So the whole sword is basically I asked for to be made in a tiger theme. Here you see a tiger, and here, and also the sword guard as well. It took him about a year and a half. Of course, I have to wait. It doesn't look just beautiful. I mean, it's definitely combat ready. Japanese swords are they're more delicate. You have to polish them once in a while. This part is to wipe some excess dust and oil from the sword. And this part, this is the actual polishing, which you put some powder on the sword. So when you wipe the sword, it polishes the blade. And you wipe it again. So you wipe out all the powders from the blade. And then the most important part would be to apply the oil on the blade. I try to polish them once a month. So if you look for a sword made by a famous swordsmith, obviously there would be potential value in the sword. I mean, it potentially might go up in the future because they are quite rare. Another thing I'll look for is whether I think it looks beautiful or not. Like the blade, whether it's beautiful, or the handles, or how it feels in my hand. So these are my practice swords. They're wooden swords, so they're quite safe. And yes, I usually practice with them quite often, like every morning.